Welcome to Freda's channel analysis, ladies and gentlemen, and I must say I'm very grateful to your continued support to the channel. If you are watching our channel for the first time, allow me to request you to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever we do a video like this. And please give our videos more likes so that they can be rated high by YouTube, so YouTube will recommend them for more viewers. Again, I'm humbled. There is a kind of piracy that is going on in Kilifi County. This time it is perpetuated by an investor from Georgia by the name Georgie. Now Georgie is undertaking what some African environmentalists have labeled biopiracy. Because in Mombasa you will know that there has been a lot of piracy, the hydro-piracy that is taking place in the waters, the Indian Ocean. But this time round, this is biopiracy because it is something that is affecting our environment. The investor is exploiting farmers and they are cutting down trees and selling to him. Now, what is ridiculous here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the investor has not informed the authorities that are supposed to work with him. In fact, this has compelled the National Environmental Management Authority, the NEMA, and the Kenya Forest Service to petition the Director of Public Prosecutions to look into this matter. Now, Mr. Georgie is paying residents there to cut down not just any other tree, but the Baobab trees and selling to him. And he's explaining that back at home in Georgia, they have established a nursery where they are compiling several trees that they do not have in the USA.
The park in Georgia is unique with the number of variety of trees from different continents. So we adjust climate conditions to each tree. For example, for baobabs, we create the environment exactly same like in Kilifi.
You see, the USA residents have been traveling to very many African countries to watch their natural resources, maybe some animals that they don't have. Now, the baobab tree is an indigenous tree. Being an indigenous tree, it forms part of the African heritage. In fact, there is an umbrella called African Baobab Alliance that has been formed just to take care of the baobab tree. And in fact, it has been labeled that baobab tree is an endangered species. This makes it very special, ladies and gentlemen. Now, NEMA is complaining that this investor does not have the requisite documents that he's supposed to have before he undertakes whatever he's doing. One, there is what we call environmental assessment impact permit that is supposed to show that there are authorities in Kenya, relevant authorities, who had gone there to the residents with the investor just to evaluate. It happens whenever you want to exploit maybe mining, natural resources like mining, trees, there must be authorities who will be coming there to evaluate the impact to the environment, the residents, what is the extent of the whatever you want to undertake. Because the investor will cut down trees or do his excavation, and then he will fly to the USA. What about the residents who will be remaining behind? So this document shows that the authorities have looked at all corners and they've given it the green light. This investor does not have this. He does not have a document that allows him to transport trees. And this is why NEMA is up in hand with this investor, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there is an international agreement called Nagoya Protocol. This Nagoya Protocol has been incorporated into the Kenyan constitution. It regulates and guides how different countries should exploit natural resources and genetic resources before another country comes maybe to take up, because I remember, I want to give you an example. Sometimes back, the former president, Mwai Kibaki, gave the Chinese a very special species of cheetah. and it went to the Chinese. It really elicited a lot of uproar from Kenyans, because when you give the Chinese such a species, they will not be coming to Kenya to watch such animals. So this Nagoya Protocol is the one that guides how these natural resources are shared and exploited by different countries. Now, this was not incorporated because it states that before such a thing happens, ladies and gentlemen, the residents, in this case residents from Kilifi, should have informed the government prior to these undertakings to show that they have consent to sell trees to an investor, how much are they paid, what is the investor going to do with the trees. It happens so that the government should be involved. This did not happen. And as indicated, the African Baobab Alliance is an umbrella that will guide, because Baobab tree is very special, by the way. Those who know it, it's very special. But why is it important, ladies and gentlemen, to Africans? Because they condemn this. The story is in The Guardian. Just check The Guardian. That is where the story is. Why is it important to them? Because number one, it is exploitation from the whites again, as Africans always cry to the whites. Environmentalists are saying that Baobab tree can live up to 2,500 years, and it can withstand harsh environmental conditions. You see, Kenya has been grappling, we are in the middle of drought. And just the other day, the president was urging Kenyans to plant more trees. Now, this is coming at a time when environmentalists are saying that due to its value, it can withstand harsh environmental conditions. This is the time to preserve this tree, number one, as we try to compensate for the tree cover loss that has happened in the last few decades. Now, environmentalists are saying that instead of cutting down baobab trees in the coast, we should preserve them because they can grow under these harsh conditions. And they're saying that Kenya, not only Kenya, in fact the African umbrella, condemned this and said that Kenya should look into some of their policies that guides exploitation of their natural resources. They are also saying that the baobab offers habitat to different species of insects, birds, and even reptiles. If you understand how the natural environment occurs, there is an interrelationship between species, plants, and animals. So they're saying that if you cut down just one baobab tree, you are interfering with the ecosystem and the environment as a whole, because reptiles, insects, and birds will fly away. And you all know that part of this ecosystem forms part of our revenue when different tourists come to watch them, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it will lead to loss of revenue. Why? If you look at what the investor was saying, he's saying that they want our trees to go and preserve them in Georgia. What will happen in the next few years? What will happen is no one will be flying from Georgia to come and watch some of these natural resources. Because if they already have the baobab, this will affect many African countries. Because now we don't have it, but it is found in Georgia. In fact, he explained that they have several different species of plants and trees that they do not plant. They just want to pick them from Africa so that they can have their own garden. And it is very ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. All those tourists who have been coming to coast, I can assure you that if this is not stopped, in the next few years, we will have a deficit of tourists, and this will lead to loss of revenue, ladies and gentlemen. It can also lead to exploitation to the residents who are living in the coast. Because an expert was arguing that before such a thing happens, then you must include experts. It is said that he's buying these trees and is giving about 100,000 shillings to 300,000. I know you may think that this is a large amount of money, but it is not, because experts were saying that in the absence of an economist, an expert who must evaluate that, because a baobab tree, like I said, grows for more than 2,000 years. What if you have a baobab tree that has grown from maybe just 200 years or 1,000? A resident who is hungry, does not have money, will be exploited. Because you give him 100,000 Kenya shillings, he might think that this is big, yet the value of that Baobab tree could even be 500,000 Kenya shillings. So the experts, and this is where the Neema is coming from, is saying that they should be incorporated. Apart from just looking at the environmental impact, we should know, are Kenyans getting value for their money on this? Because it reminds me of the document that was released just the other day about the SGR, where it was argued that we got a raw deal. And this has been the problem with African countries. When the whites come, the Europeans and the Americans, to sit down to exploit our natural resources, we always get a raw deal. Who should be on the table to negotiate for Africa? Are the experts involved? Because I had some of them saying that they sold these trees without knowing. It was an eye-opener when the experts started complaining and telling them what should happen. So Africans have condemned, and they are saying that this is another exploitation from Wazungu. And they're saying, Kenyans, let us wake up. One of the people who cried out on this is one person I usually follow on Twitter, Rosalina Kombe, as usual. And she lamented to the Neema and Kenyan government to make sure that they stop this. Africans say Kenya must stop this because they will come from Baobab tree. The next thing you will hear is that our zebras, some species, are being exported to the USA. I want to ask before I complete, ladies and gentlemen, do you agree with Neema? Do you agree with Rosalina Kombe, who is saying that we either stop it or stop it? There are no two ways about it. Our African heritage cannot go to the USA. Have we ever imported anything from the USA to preserve in Kenya? What is wrong with our African countries? What are our policies? Don't you think we should now review some of our policies as far as exploitations of our natural resources is concerned? The investor, Mr. Giorgio, must be called upon with all the agents, because he's using agents to exploit Kilifi farmers, so that we can review. If we have to sell, then the Kilifi residents must get value for their money. I don't know whether we have anyone in the channel from Kilifi to explain to me what is happening, because I read this story in The Guardian and I felt, not again. We cannot allow the whites to run riot, economic riot, on our African soil. And ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in another video.